I'm Robert Zubrin. I'm head of the Mars Society. I'm an engineer. I'm also an author. In fact, my latest book is Case for Nukes. Got them here. $20. You buy them, I'll sign them. But my next book, which will be published next year, is called The New World on Mars. What can we create on the red planet? And it looks at what kind of civilizations are likely to emerge on Mars, not from the point of view of designing utopia, but from the point of view almost of natural selection, that all sorts of things are going to be tried, and what is likely to succeed. Okay, now, and so we look at the technology, the economy, the social systems, political systems, all sorts of things, and there's a lot there I could talk about, but the economy, I think people ask me, what's the export from Mars? I believe the number one export from Mars will be IP, intellectual property, because a Mars settlement will be composed of a technologically adept population in a frontier environment in which they're going to be forced to innovate. They're going to face a number of challenges, which, by the way, in certain ways, in one respect, the first one is an enormous labor shortage, which was a challenge that the American frontier faced, which is why America became a nation of gadgeteers. Invention and for the past 200 years, or certainly 150 years, America, with only a few percent of the world's population, is responsible for 50% of the inventions. And that's been our major contribution to human civilization, okay? We invented steamboats and telegraphs and centrally generated electrical power and light bulbs, recorded sound, motion pictures, aeroplanes, nuclear power, the functional computers, the internet, etc. So Mars will do this as well. Now, what are going to be some of the main challenges Mars will face? First of all, yes, a terrific labor shortage, and that's going to drive them to innovation in areas ranging from labor-saving machinery, automation, robotics, artificial intelligence. Okay. Secondly, agriculture. Okay. They are going to have extremely limited acreage. They're going to need ultra-productive crops. Okay. And so not only limited acreage, but also limited labor. So they will need to have ultra-productive crops in terms of acreage and vis-a-vis the labor power that can go into it. Okay. And then finally, energy. I mean, you can make fossil fuels on Mars, but the energy to make them has to come from another source. Solar is unreliable, wind is too thin, there won't be hydro until the planet's terraformed. So nuclear power, okay? And not only nuclear power, but nuclear power in forms that can be built on Mars, which means simplified nuclear reactors, perhaps homogeneous reactors. So they will make these innovations to solve their problems. These innovations will be licensable on Earth. In other words, they export the patents, and they use that to pay for imports. Okay. Use in situ resource utilization, or in situ resource creation, really, because there's no such thing as a natural resource. There's only natural raw materials. It's a technology that turns materials into a resource. But to make all the bulk materials, we're not going to import steel to Mars. We're going to import food to Mars. We're going to import glass to Mars. But you may have to import things like this to Mars. Okay. And so they'll need to pay for some stuff. They need income. So license the inventions. So that's the basis of the Martian economy. So what we in the Mars Society asked ourselves is, why not start this now? Okay. So it is our intention to create a Mars Technology Institute that will work on the technologies needed for the settlement of Mars. Okay. Now, okay, I'm actually a little older than I look. I'm a time traveler. And in the time that I came from, which was the 1950s, okay, so this was a different world. In some ways it was better than this world. In other ways it was not as good as this world. In one ways it was not as good in this world, as at that time women did not have careers. Okay. In that time, the expectation was men would have careers and women would find good husbands. And what parents told their daughters was, don't marry for money, but marry where the money is. Okay, So the Mars Technology Institute is going to invent where the money is. Okay, so if you look at the fields that I just named, robotics essentially, biotechnology, and energy technology, at least the first two of those are very much where the money is right now. So the energy perhaps, but it requires much heavier investment. So that's where we're going to focus. I think probably biotechnology as our first focus, to create ultra-productive agriculture under controlled conditions. And that's what we're going to do. So that's our initiative. We're going to create this we're going to run it as a nonprofit, but a nonprofit that can generate income. Because the idea is we're not, sophisticated donors don't want to just donate money to something to do something. They want to donate money to something that will become self-funding. Okay, that will take itself forward. And that's what we're going to propose to do. So that's our plan, and we could use help in creating this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. We have time for a few questions. Take it away, please.
So just given our setting here, how about instead of a nonprofit, and the general concept I love, instead of a nonprofit or in addition to a nonprofit, how about running something like an investment fund, like a VC fund or something?
Well, I don't know about a fund, but a C Corp. I thought as well about having it also have a C Corp which could take investment, and we might do that. But the first form of it is going to be as a nonprofit. Because you see, if you take investors, they're looking to make money, and a lot of them have a much shorter term outlook than is appropriate for this kind of thing. I mean, it's possible we might make a biotechnology innovation that produces a big bang. But look, if you want to go to people who are interested in making money, you're going to them and say, here it is, here's the zing, put your money in 3 years, pow, okay? And that's what they're looking for. In other words, when you're proposing a for-profit investment, not only do you have to say we're going to make money, you're going to have to make an argument that you're going to make more money doing this than in any conventional kind of investment, okay? Why not do a dot-com? Why not do real estate speculation? Anything, you name it. So that's why we're going to lead this as a nonprofit, but perhaps create a for-profit entity when we become a bit more mature, okay, that would be able to deal with investors and that kind of thing. It's more legally complex.
Thank you. So, give us your challenge.
What?
What is your challenge for others to solve?
The challenge is help us do this.
And define what again?
To create a Mars Technology Institute, something that can generate the income not only to fund its own research, but ultimately fund the human settlement of Mars. If we're talking about a Mars colony being able to fund its economy based on its inventions, well, let's create this here. Look, if you look at the most counterintuitive colonization efforts of the past 400 years, these are the Pilgrims in Massachusetts, the Mormons in Utah, the Jews in Palestine. They were all made possible by very strong home front organizations raising the money to support these settlement activities. And in fact, in the case of Israel, this still goes on today. Okay? And so we want to create the home front organization. It needs to have a financial engine. This is the engine.
Wonderful. Thank you.